There is something that most women will never say out loud, something that could spare you years of confusion, heartbreak, and wasted effort on a relationship where the other person has already quietly moved on in their mind. The truth is, when a woman is edging toward infidelity, it does not happen the way it does in films. There is no sudden dramatic disappearance. Instead, there is language. Specific, carefully selected language that sounds completely reasonable on the surface, even kind, even loving. Words that are constructed in such a way that you end up doubting your own instincts. Phrases that turn your completely valid concerns into evidence of your own failure as a partner. What follows are 4 specific things women say in the period just before they cross that line, and none of them are accidental. They are not emotional slip-ups or random frustration. They are patterns, psychological in nature, designed to manufacture distance and guilt while quietly building an exit. And before this is over, the single most important thing you need to understand is what your response should be the moment you hear these words, because how you react in that window will determine everything. If any of this has ever resonated with your own experience, share it with someone who needs to hear it. The first thing she will say is that she just has not been in the mood lately. And this is where so many men make a mistake that costs them everything, because when those words land, every reasonable part of you accepts them at face value. Stress is real, exhaustion is real, life genuinely gets heavy sometimes, and it makes complete sense that desire would ebb and flow. But here is what women who have actually been through infidelity will tell you when they are being completely honest. When a woman is genuinely drained or overwhelmed, she does not stop wanting closeness with the man she loves. She might not want physical passion specifically, but she craves warmth, she craves being held, she craves the emotional safety of someone who loves her. Stress does not kill the need for connection, it usually amplifies it. A woman who is truly in love with you will reach for you when she is tired, not away from you. She will want your arms around her even when everything else feels like too much. So when a woman does not just pull back from physical intimacy, but from all of it, when even a hand on her shoulder feels like an inconvenience, when she starts building quiet physical walls between you, wearing more layers to bed, always having a reason to avoid even the smallest gestures of affection, that is not exhaustion, that is redirection. Her body has not lost its appetite for closeness. It has simply redirected that appetite somewhere else. And the psychology underneath that shift is something most men are never told. When a woman begins investing emotionally in another man, her body starts to perceive intimacy with her partner as a form of internal betrayal, not a betrayal of him, but of the new emotional world she is building. You become, in her mind, the one standing between her and something she now wants more, and so her body begins to respond to your touch with resistance, with discomfort, with a quiet repulsion she may not even fully understand herself. The bitter truth is she is not lying when she says she is not in the mood. She genuinely is not, because her desire has already relocated. Watch for this alongside the emotional withdrawal, a sudden burst of energy toward everything that has nothing to do with you. New fitness habits she talks about with an enthusiasm you have not seen in years. A refreshed interest in her appearance, new clothes, new fragrance, a renewed attention to the details of how she looks even on days when nothing is happening between the two of you. These are not coincidences. The second thing she will say is that she just wants to focus on herself right now. And this particular phrase is where the manipulation becomes most difficult to detect, because on the surface it sounds like exactly what a psychologically healthy person would say: personal growth, self-discovery, healing old wounds, establishing better boundaries, becoming more authentic. As her partner, you will likely feel proud. You will think she is finally doing something good for herself and therefore good for both of you. But what women say in private, when there is no audience and no performance, is something different entirely. What this phrase so often means in practice is this: I am creating enough emotional separation between us that when I take the next step towards someone else, I will have convinced myself it is not really a betrayal. Because real personal growth within a committed relationship does not exclude the partner, it moves toward them. It looks like shared therapy, honest and sometimes uncomfortable conversations about what is not working, a willingness to invite your partner into what you are learning about yourself. Genuine self-development inside a healthy relationship sounds like growth that pulls two people closer together, not further apart. But when the growth suddenly requires complete isolation from you, when your involvement in her process shifts from welcome to unwanted, when any desire you express to be included is reframed as control or insecurity or a lack of support, the purpose of that language becomes clear. She needs to construct a version of herself that exists entirely outside of you before she can justify what she is planning to do. She needs the internal narrative that she has evolved past the relationship, that she has simply outgrown it, that staying would mean shrinking, and she will use your confusion against you. She will say things like, "You should want this for me." She will say that needing to be included in everything is a problem you need to examine. She will make your completely natural desire to share her life feel like a personal failing. And every time you express hurt about being left out, she will use it as proof that you are the obstacle. Healthy growth in a relationship sounds like wanting to bring your partner along for the journey because their presence makes the growth richer. What she is describing instead is a version of growth that requires your absence in order to work. The third phrase is the most disorienting one. You are being too controlling. You ask where she was. You mention the coworker whose name keeps coming up. You wonder why the late nights have become more frequent. You ask to glance at her phone for a moment. You notice she is texting through dinner, and you ask who it is. None of these are extraordinary requests. In a relationship built on trust and transparency, these are the kinds of check-ins that partners offer each other without a second thought. But suddenly, you are controlling. Suddenly, you are possessive and insecure and toxic and suffocating and threatened by her independence.